What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonia Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going.
Woo!
Woo!
Since Miguel doesn't give me my applause anymore.
Woo! Let's do this. That's right. So before we get started, make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Share it with the people that you know, because that's how you guys can support our show. If you guys enjoy the content that we bring you guys and the things that we talk about, which I'm guessing you do, or else I don't know why you would be listening. But go to oppositesattractpodcast.com and you can see all the ways to follow us there. You can watch the podcast. You can listen to it there. You can also support the show there by clicking on the Support the Show tab, and then you'll see the Amazon link, Trust Inc., where it is our mobile notary signing company for your mortgage documents and things like that. And we'll tell you guys a little bit more about our affiliates and Pinwheel and Buy Us a Coffee and all that stuff a little bit later on in the show. But make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com, to learn a little bit more, download the resource list and all that stuff.
Yes, and all that good stuff.
So what's up?
Also, hey, wait, before we move forward, those of you that listen to the podcast that want to be heard, maybe you have a question, maybe you have a comment, give us a call, leave us a voice message, and we will play it live.
And answer it, yeah.
And if you want to be anonymous, that's okay too. So if you would like to do that, leave us a comment or a question.
You can call us. Yeah, if you want, on the website, oppositesattractpodcast.com, you can click Contact Us and send us a message there. But if you want to call us and leave us a voicemail, you can do that at 480-331-9846.
Yes. If there is a topic that you would like us to research, that you would like for us to talk about, we would love to hear from you.
Nice.
Yes.
And I was about to say something and I forgot, just like I did last time.
You might want to start taking ginkgo. Is that what that
Ginkgo
is
biloba?
For your memory? Because you've been losing some things lately.
Uña de gato. I don't know what that shit's good for, but I remember being a kid. You probably never heard about that stuff.
No.
That's that.
One cat?
That's that uña de gato.
Uña, like a nail cat?
Yeah, a nail of a cat.
Nail of
That's
a
like
cat.
some kind of vitamin, like, I don't know if like that, it's like that snake oil. Like, I don't know if that shit really works. But on the Spanish channels way back when I was a kid, they used to sell uña de gato. That shit will fix everything.
You know what's so crazy is that we always talk about that, right? Like these Spanish myths, right? Getting an onion. My friend
Put a lemon on it.
Betty, onion, right? Before you go to bed, put it at the bottom of cut it in half, put it in the bottom of your foot, stick a sock on it, sleep in it, sleep with it, and in the morning,
eat it.
Everything
what the fuck are you
will
gonna
be
do?
better.
Eat it in the morning. What the fuck are you gonna do? What is the onion gonna do on your foot?
I'm just saying, but listen.
You make a foot stew overnight.
Hey, hold up. I've been watching
like a fucking crock pot.
You know, like these old, what are they? Like stories, right?
Myths?
No, where they talk about using herbs and teas and hey, some of that, it works.
Yeah, it does.
Right? Like nature.
Well, that's how you find shit out, like aloe and...
Yes. So who says an onion won't help?
Well, aloe has has certain properties. I don't know what the fuck putting an onion and then putting a sock on top of it is going to do for your fever.
Hey, they say it works.
Or some shit. You know what I mean?
They say it works. So next time
all that's going to do is get you fucking hungry in the morning.
So next time
wake up, somebody
you
cooking?
Get sick, when you fall asleep, I'm going to cut an onion and I'm going to stick it
Oh, God.
on your butt, put a sock on it, and let's see how you wake up in the morning.
I need some scientific data on the fucking foot.
Hey, that would be funny.
The onion sock thing.
Breaking myths. What are some myths?
You know there was a show?
Some old things?
Mythbusters. They used to do that.
Yeah. You know?
Be the Mexican Mythbusters pulling up all that. You put a lemon on it. Fucking put some onion on it. Put some chili on it. Drink a 7-Up.
Yes.
Drink a ginger ale. That shit gets rid of cancer. You burp it right out.
Yes. Anyways, so this week it's been very interesting and painful for me.
Yeah. That sucked, man. So I've been traveling a lot lately, and this last trip that I went on, like right before I left, the night before or the day before, your neck just like locked up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're turning. You can look at me now.
Yeah.
If it was the first day, you couldn't look at me before.
If you were sitting on the left side of me right now, I would not be able to turn my neck as far.
We would have
So,
to switch seats.
I'm still working on it. But no, it was so painful. And I'm like, what the hell did I do for my nerve to get
this jacked
it's
up?
A pinched nerve. And it was super painful. And my husband's leaving me. And I'm like, what am I going to do?
You're good. We don't
But
have
what's
babies.
so cool, listen, our kids were very helpful. You know, Joey was bringing me my ice pack, my heat pack. Like he was really taking care of me. And so was Audrey. But I was out for a few days. Like literally, it was hard for me to walk. It was hard for me to squat, like to sit down, to sit on the toilet. I mean, just all of it.
It's that big old head,
But
like the center of gravity.
Shut up. But let me tell you, my girl, I got to get all her information correct and see if she wants to become a sponsor. No.
Hey.
She does cupping and acupuncture. And you guys, I'm telling you, like my back, I look like a leopard.
No, you look like a pro athlete, like you're going to the Olympics.
But she just knows the body. And she knew when I went in and just started talking and she started looking at my back, she pinpointed exactly where the problem was and how it was running down my arm and through my, through the back. Like just, she knew exactly what to do. Yeah. And it was a bit painful, but let me tell you, when I was done with that appointment, I was more mobile. Yeah. And even the following day, I was able to get out of bed, pick myself up. So, go get your acupuncture or cupping done if you have back pain or a nerve pinch. Because most people run to the emergency room. And what do? Yeah. They offer them
Not me.
Pain pills. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you would have...
Nah, I don't know. No,
babe, it wasn't a stiff neck.
Babe,
okay?
If I find something like, I don't know, a boil or fucking something, what am I going to do?
I don't know.
I'm going to cut it open myself.
Yeah, but I'm
can't cut. I'm going to stab it and squeeze it myself. Right?
I'm like, babe, what the hell are you doing? What
be fucking
are you doing?
I'll be sitting in front of the mirror with my fucking legs up in the air with a needle and a blade.
I wonder if this is a man thing because, like, we were talking about
what were we talking about?
When we were going, like, you going out to eat when you were out of town. Like you were watching your back, like you were sitting at a park, a beautiful park.
No,
right?
I wasn't going out to eat. So yeah, like I said, I went out of town and I was working on the podcast, right? So I mean, I go out of town. There's still stuff that we got to do, editing and all that. Mm-hmm. So I take my stuff with me, and when I'm not working, this time in California, like there was a really nice park out there. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take my tablet. I'm gonna take my phone, hook it up to the hotspot, and I'm just gonna chill at the park. It's a beautiful day. And just work on the podcast there on my tablet. So while I'm sitting there, like there's people. There's a public park, and anybody that knows public parks, they attract certain people.
You're crazy, but go ahead.
I mean, it depends on the neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Depends on the neighborhood. Neighborhoods around here, beautiful public parks. You send your kids there by themselves, they're fucking fine.
Okay. You
go to a public park in Phoenix. You're not sending your kid there by themselves.
True that. So were you in a ghetto? I mean, in your area, was it kind of?
It wasn't. It was nice, but I think at least in that area, it's nice, but you can't avoid all the other shit. So like, there's people having a fucking picnic at the park, but there's also, homeless people and crackheads at the park.
Okay.
Not like here where it's just people having picnics at the park.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. So it was kind of questionable.
Yeah, like there was a tree a little way away and there was a homeless dude passed out.
Miguel
so what I'm saying is that go ahead.
Miguel's telling me like he's at this beautiful, he's taking pictures. I see this park and I'm like, oh, it's beautiful, right? Like I'm like, he must be in a nice spot. He has a nice hotel. Like he's in a good spot. When he gets home, he starts talking to me that he's always looking over his shoulders and, like he's always aware. And I'm sitting there listening to him and I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me that every time we go out, like you're always aware of your surroundings? I'm like, that has to be a New York thing. I'm like, because when I go out to a restaurant, I like facing the door. I don't know why, but I do. But it's not because I feel unsafe or I need to know who's around me, what's around me, whatever, right? When I go to a park, I'm like, I'm going to the park to it's by myself, I'm reading a book, I'm chilling, I'm meditating, I am in positive mode, I am good. Here my husband is like, who's around? What you got? What are you up to?
If I'm meditating
I'm like,
at
holy
a park,
shit. I'm like, do you live like that?
I got one eye open. I'm like,
that's horrible. Like, I'm thinking to myself, but then I'm thinking, you know what, Sonia? When you come out of the store, you're not looking around to see who's around you. Your ass would be a great candidate
to get robbed.
Right.
You ain't robbing me. You ain't robbing me.
Because I'm in La La Land, spreading fairy dust, talking to strangers, doing my thing in my zone.
Actually, you want to know something? When I was at the park, you know what I actually did?
What'd you do?
So I'm sitting there working and I'm looking around and I'm typing. And I look down at my wrist. And I'm wearing my watch.
Okay.
And my watch, I mean, it's stainless. It's not the Packer. It's a stainless steel one.
Yes.
And it's one that you could probably see from a little ways away. I'm also wearing this gold chain. So as soon, like, I'm sitting there and I'm like looking around and I'm like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. Like, this is not my neighborhood. I'm not from here. I don't know people here. See, I ain't got no backup.
Okay, guys, is that a man thing or is that a New York thing?
Give us a call. 480-331-9846.
But I have to be honest.
So I took my watch off.
Did you?
And I tucked my chain.
Wow. Okay, so
I put my watch in my pocket.
You know what? I understand when we are in certain places. I have the same necklace that Miguel has, right? My chain's not as thick, but I got that gold coin.
Yeah.
And that makes me a little nervous sometimes wearing that, right?
Yeah.
Because you can see that from miles away.
So I don't know.
And the kind of world we live in today, kind of sketchy, right?
Well, it depends on where you're at. Yeah.
Gold is worth some money. Stocks are down. Real estate.
Well, let me just tell you. It's situational awareness. That's what it's called. Like, if we're out here on this side of town, I can pull my necklace out, or if I forget to put it away or whatever, if it comes out, I leave it out. On the other side of town, I don't know people. And I'm not trying, like, if somebody's going to steal it, it might be a problem. So I'd rather just put it away.
Yeah. Anyways.
But I don't know. And that might be a New York thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was telling you that while I was working, there was some kids. I don't know if they looked like they were high school, maybe like young college students or whatever. And they were practicing for track, I'm guessing, because they're just doing fucking laps around the park. And I'm sitting there, and the first time that they came, like, all I hear is footsteps running behind me. And like my first instinct was like, I didn't like, I was starting to kind of stand up, like, and I turned and looked, and then I just saw it was like, kids running. I'm like, all right, cool. And I just keep working. And then every once in a while I would hear the footsteps and I just kind of turn and look and then go back to what I was doing. But yeah.
So I really missed you.
I missed you too. I missed you
and
guys too.
I felt it feels good to miss you, and to be in that state of mind where I'm not worrying anymore, like being free from those, the insecurity, and just being able to miss you and, spend the time that we have with kids. And it really sucks because the day before you were coming home, I had a special dream and I woke up and you weren't there.
Oh.
But I took my friend out.
Oh, that kind of dream. Hell yeah. Nice. Nice.
So feeling disabled at the time, you just have to make it work somehow.
You just got to go by feel because you can't move your neck. That's freaking funny.
And I realized, because normally I'll use my left. I needed to use my right hand, and it's not as comfortable. Can you relate?
Yes. Do you know what that's called?
No, what?
It's called the stranger.
The
Actually, I think the stranger might be when you sit on your hand so that you can't feel it. First, you sit on your hand till it gets all tingly so you can't feel it. Then you beat off. That's called the stranger.
What the hell? Men telling you.
Anyway, whatever. That's not what we were.
Did you get your new toy in?
That's
today?
not what we talked about. What we said we were going to talk about on the podcast.
What did people say they needed from us?
You're
sex.
Right. You're right.
More sex. We've gotten away from it. So I thought, I'd throw out a little dirty before we recap on episode 184.
Yeah. But, you were talking about the insecurity thing and me going out of town. And that's something that we talked about. If you guys haven't heard it on either the last episode or the one before that, but we've been talking about it recently. But yeah. You were telling me that recently you had been talking to a friend, and they had mentioned something about their kid, that they had looked something up, or that they got curious, or they had been talked to.
Yes.
And we thought, like, that's something that's important, because it's gonna happen to everyone eventually. So what was it that you guys were talking about?
So when it comes to parenting a preteen or a teenager, we ourselves have a preteen. She's going to be 13 next month. But a lot of times they're curious, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the age where they're probably the most curious, right around 12, 13.
Yeah. And they parent very similar to the way we parent, right? No social media, stuff like that. But kids, listen, parents, when kids want to know something, they will find it out somehow, some way, whether they use a friend's cell phone or a friend's laptop, whatever. They're going to get curious. And she just had mentioned that her kid looked up porn. And
that somebody had talked to her about porn.
Yeah.
And did they get curious or whatever?
Yeah, they were just curious. And she said that, that her kid came out and told her about it after, a church event.
After a church event?
After a church event, because they had the kids confessing things that they did that their parents were unaware of, or that they felt ashamed of, or embarrassed about.
And that's what made them curious.
No, baby.
Oh, okay. That's how it came up.
That's where the confession came from.
Okay, gotcha.
And, and then the kid felt that they should come out and talk to the parent about what they did.
Yeah.
And I just put myself in that position. You weren't here at the time when this conversation was had, and just thought, how would I react if Audrey or Joey came to me openly to tell me something that they did that I was unaware of, like how I would take that.
Yeah.
And immediately I just took myself to my childhood years. Like, how was I at that age? And is it something that's normal? And the age the kid is, it is a normal age for them to be curious and to look it up.
Well, I think today it might be a little bit older. I mean, I think other kids, well, I can tell you that by their age, 13, 14, something like that. I already knew for years.
Really?
I had already seen porn for years, but I was in a different situation.
And that's the thing. It all depends on how you grow up. What are things that you were exposed to? Because you were exposed to things at a very early age.
I'm a male. They're female.
Uh-huh.
She's a female, right?
Yes.
So that might have a different dynamic too. I don't know.
Yeah. But the best advice I could give to a parent is the advice that what would you do in that situation?
As soon as you were telling me about it, obviously, like, I do the same thing. Like, we put ourselves in that position, and if you just look at society, the world that we live in, like where they're at an age where they're learning so much
fast.
Things are changing in their bodies. They go from, well, at that age, it's like you're going from maybe you didn't like the opposite sex that much to now you're starting to like them. And now you're getting curious too, right?
Yep. And your friends are talking about it. Like, this is the thing. At that age, they have friends that are actually having sex already.
And this is unavoidable because no matter how good of a job you do at protecting your kids, and it shouldn't be, you should protect them from it. But at a certain age, when they know about it, it's like, yeah, this is probably about the age when they were going to learn, right?
Right.
And so you don't want to treat it like, oh my God,
Right.
How could you? What were you thinking?
Yep. Because that brings shame. That brings embarrassment. That brings, right?
But what you were saying is that your friend was telling you that that they didn't go to them.
Right. At first.
You know, and it's like, why? Like they would have thought that, you know, they have a great relationship and that they're going to come and talk to them.
And I asked her if she asked the child, why didn't she go to her first?
Yeah.
And it was because of just
shame,
being embarrassed.
Shame.
Like, you know,
because I think that no matter what, as much as we want to think that we have that connection, that relationship, like I'm the parent and they see me as a friend. No, they don't. You're always a parent.
If they do, that's a problem though. If they see you as a friend.
Well, if they don't see you as a parent figure and they see you just as a friend, that's a fucking huge problem.
Yes. Because you're going to know everything. But
I think as parents, we want to feel like they see us as a parent. They see us as the authority and the guidance and, you know, but they also have like that friend relationship,
right?
Which I guess you can in a way, but it's not 100%. Right. It'll never be 100% because you're a parent.
Exactly. And I'm going to talk about my relationship with Audrey. Those of you that have been listening to us know that Audrey and I have a very good relationship, right? And if I was in this situation, I would feel a bit kind of hurt because I'm like, I feel that I have that relationship with Audrey where she can be open enough to say, hey, Mom, I'm curious.
But
blah, 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 blah,
yes.
blah. Before she goes and looks it up, like to come to me.
That's good. So just picture in your head, would it be easier if you're a 12-year-old girl? Would it be easier to talk to, you know, her friends?
Right.
Would it be easier to talk to your friend or talk to your mom?
Friend.
Exactly.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. I would feel a bit disappointed because she didn't come to me.
Yeah.
But then when I take myself back to her age, it's like, am I going to go talk to my mom about it? Even though it's a different parenting, right? Like I'm different than my mom, you know, it would be a bit uncomfortable and it would be probably easier just to look it up or to talk to my friends. And then maybe after the conversation comes up with my mom or my mom starts, then maybe I would open up or, you know what I'm saying? But this is the thing too. I want Adriana to go out and explore, like make her mistakes. You know what I'm saying? I don't want her to be this perfect child that is like, okay, because I just feel that they learn better by making, I want her to know that it's okay. You're going to make mistakes, baby. Like you're going to make mistakes. And when you do, I'm going to be here.
Yeah. I think the best thing in this situation now, if they're younger or a lot younger, you gotta address it in a different way. Mm-hmm. Like that. I'm not, you know, if they're fucking 9,
right,
and they looked up porn,
right, or they're being exposed to it at that age.
Yeah, that, I mean, and I'm sure that's the case too sometimes.
Right.
But as far as like for, you know, somebody that's their age, like 12, 13, 14, that's something that, yeah, like I said, you don't want to like just, you got to live in the real world.
Right.
They saw it. So you start talking to them about what they saw. What did you see? I mean, try to make them comfortable. What did you see? And also, that's porn. Like that is, I guess, like a performance, right?
Right.
People don't fuck like that regularly. I mean, we do sometimes, but I'm
looking at you.
I'm just saying, not all the time. Sometimes we get excited and, you know, we could fucking, you know. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about here.
You getting yourself excited here?
All right. Show's over. We're going to, no. But also explain, because I've heard that. I'm sure you've heard that, and anybody listening to this, if you focus on parenting, you've heard that for some people or kids watching porn, what it does is it makes them think that that's how sex is.
Right.
I got to fucking spit in her mouth because she likes that. You know, like, no, that's not what women like. You don't treat them that way.
Right.
You know, this is different.
Right. Yeah. So anyways, if that does happen, if you are a parent, listen to them, ask questions.
Yeah.
Don't make them feel less than. Don't make them feel shame. Don't make them feel embarrassed.
And that's not reality.
Get to where they're at. Get to their level.
And what they're seeing is not reality.
Right. And get to their level and relate to them. Hey, I remember the first time I watched it. Blah, 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 blah. Like, get to their level so that they feel comfortable in the conversation. Yeah. And maybe next time they'll come to you, right? Like, and I think that is the best advice. I don't care what it is, what the situation is. When a kid makes a mistake, get to their level. I made a shitload of mistakes. I know you made a shitload of mistakes. We did some crazy stuff. Get to their level. Talk to them. Don't make them feel bad. Don't make them feel like an outcast. Relate.
How old were you?
Be relatable.
How old were you when you first saw porn? Do you have an idea?
I don't. I wasn't that young. I can tell you that.
Were you
I wasn't
an adult?
young. I was an adult.
You were already an adult.
I was an adult.
Poor girl.
What?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So, like, were you already moved out?
Yes.
You hadn't seen porn, so you fucking moved out?
I had sex before I watched porn, man.
Okay. Well, I don't know if that's normal.
I was making my own porn.
I don't know if that's normal.
I was making my own porn.
Yeah, nice. I don't know if that, like, I don't know.
I think it's a boy thing.
Is
Boys,
it? Is it?
You guys
it might
are
be.
like dirty magazines, right? You guys
True.
were looking into Playboy.
True.
Like us girls were like, look at how cute they are. We're like doing it. We're doing it.
No.
You guys are looking and fantasizing.
It was
we're
like
doing
that.
it.
It was like that movie that we watched yesterday with the fucking the Lost City, the one that's out. It's like we're looking up porn. You guys are reading fucking romance. The dude with the long hair on the fucking horse and shit.
Oh yes. Oh yes. That was exactly it. I was so much into romance. Like yeah.
You're like, I don't need to watch that shit. My story in my head's way fucking better.
Heck yes. You know what? You are so right.
That's the difference between men and women.
You are so right because
I gotta see that shit.
Yes, no, for sure. Because romance, that was all me, and those romance books were, yes, my porn.
Better than porn.
Exactly. Yep.
You could fucking burn those things if you could give me one of those. I'm gonna start a fire with that. Throw that shit out. The hell you give me that for?
That's
what am
hilarious.
That shit will kill my boner. That's what that would do. That shit would dude, I start reading one of these books, that shit will kill my fucking. I'm like, where's the porn at?
Shut up. And that's the difference between men and women. That was so good.
That's freaking funny.
So let's get into it. Anything else?
Yeah, but before we do, make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. When you guys go there, if you wait a second, our resource list is going to pop up.
Yes.
If you enter your first name, last name, and email, you'll get access to that resource list. And what that is?
Our resource list is a list of books, audios, videos, things that have really helped us get us to where we are, whether it's regarding marriage, parenting, finances. You know, this relationship took work.
Yeah.
And we decided when we were going through some challenges that we were going to find answers. And so that's exactly what that list is. And it has to be updated because there are books that we have read and listened to that helped us become better parents. In there. Yes, yes.
Definitely. That one's in there. There's a few other books. There's also some YouTube links to YouTube videos in the resource list. Yes. There's podcasts that we listen to.
And another thing that we're going to add is the 30-day love challenge because people have been requesting to get that challenge, that calendar.
Okay.
Because
so you know
we
what I'll
only made that available to those people that attended our live event. And what we're going to do is we're now going to make that available to you.
On the resource list. Okay. Yeah. So we'll do that next episode. I'll have that all sorted out. And we'll let you know. You guys know how you can get the 30-day love challenge.
Yes, yes.
So, yep. And I think that derailed everything.
And trusting.
So when you go to our website, you guys can, like we said before, oppositesattractpodcast.com, the resource list, let it pop up, give us your information, and you can download the resource list. And also when you go to our website, you'll see ways to follow the show. All of our social media is on there, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. We are at Opposite Pod. If you search us on any social media, at Opposite Pod is how you can find us. Or if you search, I'm pretty sure Opposites Attract Podcast, ours is the biggest one out there. So it comes up on any of your social media. And you can also see ways to support the show on our website. So when you click on the support the show link, or if you're on your phone and you hit the menu button, you click on the support the show link, it'll take you to our Amazon link. And while you're on Amazon, if you search Opposites Attract Podcast, you'll find our t-shirts, our phone cases, pop sockets, some of our merch. And if you want to find it easier, like the phone case, just type Opposites Attract Podcast phone case and it'll pop up, or pop socket or t-shirt. I know it's a crappy way to do it, but we have our stuff on Amazon for now. So that's how we do it. And you'll also see when you click on the support the show tab, a link to Trust Inc. And Trust Inc. is?
We are a nationwide mobile notary agency. So if you are in the process of selling your home, refinancing, maybe you want to do a HELOC these days, you can request Trust Inc. to be your signing agency.
Look into it. It's not too late. If you're disciplined, if you fucking spend all your money, don't do it. You're going to put yourself in a hole. Yeah. But yes, give us a call and we can help you out with that.
And if you would like to buy us a coffee, you can go to buymeacoffee/oppositepod.com.
No, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod.
There you go.
And you guys can buy us a virtual coffee, just like if we were at a coffee shop or a bar or whatever, and we could buy you guys a drink and get to know you. If you guys want to support the show and buy us a coffee, you can do it by going to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod. And we're also affiliates with Pinwheel, which is the best smartphone available for kids. It has GPS tracking. You can see all the text message logs. You can see all the call logs. Every contact has to be approved by the parents. All the apps have to be approved by the parents. And the only apps that are available for that phone are apps that make kids more productive. It's not social media and games that are going to keep them addicted and sucking their attention.
Sucking.
That's all you heard, huh? That's all you heard. So if you guys would like to know more about Pinwheel, make sure you go to pinwheel.com, and for 10% off, use promo code OAPTEN all together, all in caps. And one thing that I didn't mention was when you guys are on that Amazon link, if you click through that link, anything that you buy on Amazon doesn't cost you anything extra, but we get a little kickback whenever you buy stuff on there.
And Father's Day is right around the corner.
Right.
So be sure to buy your dude a gift from Amazon through our link.
Yep, and it'll help us out.
Yes.
So
I am excited for now what's to come. So episode 184, our last episode, we talked about connecting to your emotions, like learning about your power, your pain points, right? Pain points are alarms that go off within when you are having a disagreement with your loved one. It's triggers, right? Triggers that will help you become aware of what you need to work on. We talked about insecurities.
A lot of communication talk lately.
Our walk through healing for insecurities that not developed, but were deep festering within, and happened to come out during our relationship, and how we were able to resolve those insecurities, and then how we began our journey on communication. So we talked about a bit of our struggles when it came to communication and things that we had to do. But we came up, Miguel and I, before the podcast, started really digging deep and thinking about things that we did in order to become better at communicating with each other. And in return, not only with each other, but communicating with our kids and everyone around us. And so we came up with 5 steps.
Yeah.
Right? 5 steps that we went through in order to get to where we are today. And we are excited to bring those to you guys.
Yep. So when it comes to communicating the right way, I think, we, in the beginning, obviously, like we've talked about in the past, we communicated a lot in the wrong ways.
Yes, we did.
Right?
Yes, exactly. And we had to recognize that, like listen. After being in a relationship for years and having so many disagreements and so many challenges and just so many things that we said that we could not take back, and feeling what it did to affect our relationships, like just stumbling over and over again, we realized that we were not communicating effectively.
No. And one thing before we even get started is something that we've mentioned. I want to mention because we've mentioned it on here before. And I don't think we've ever really talked about it, but it's just kind of been like an unwritten or unsaid thing where I've heard it before with other couples, but even in the most heated disagreements where we're fucking yelling at the top of our lungs or we're cursing while we're arguing, but it's while we're arguing, we don't, or we've never like cursed at each other or like really disrespected each other. I mean, we've gotten
I remember one
pretty freaking
time I
angry.
called you an asshole and I felt so bad. And I think that was the first time and last time that I've ever called you an asshole.
Maybe.
And I felt so bad about it because that's not something that you and I have never done. Like, you have never called me a bitch. You have never, like, we have never crossed those lines. I
don't know. Did you call me an asshole or did you say I was acting like an asshole?
No, I probably said you were acting like an asshole. Yeah, probably. But still, that's very close to calling you an asshole.
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe.
But
I don't know. But there's some things that when you start saying them, those things fucking stay for a long time. When you say certain things that are disrespectful like those things fucking hang around.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing, like being able to.
And that doesn't add anything to the fucking argument or trying to resolve the problem.
And that's something that you can't take back. Like, words are such a powerful thing. Words can give life and they can also take life. And once they're said, I mean, you can apologize, you know, and learn to forgive and let go and heal. But it's so important to be careful with what you say.
Right.
Because what you say, it lingers. It's something that takes a process.
Yep. And if it's like that, like you said, like the disrespectful, it's going to take a while.
Yes.
You know, because your partner doesn't, that shit stings.
Yes.
And when nothing's going on, when you have those quiet moments, guess what they're thinking?
That's right.
She called me a fucking this, or he said that I was a fucking
really,
bad mother, or he said
and
that.
Does he really mean what he said?
Well, yeah.
Am I really a bad mom?
So
Am I really, you know, and that's where the disconnect comes in. That's
resentment.
Where all of it.
So what we're going to do
and
now.
One thing just leads to another.
Right.
You know, so we're hoping that these 5 steps that we came up with will make a difference. But the real action begins with you.
Yeah.
Right?
So we'll go over the 5 steps for effective communication. The first thing is recognizing poor communication.
Exactly. And signs of poor communication. Silent treatment. That is something that
I did that a lot.
Yep. Silent treatment. Walking away. Just walking away. Being in the middle of a conversation and just walking away and saying nothing. Bringing up the past is another thing.
Yeah.
It's like once you make a mistake and you resolve that issue, you have to learn how to forgive. And I think in the previous episode, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Because once you forgive, you wholeheartedly forgive. When you learn to wholeheartedly forgive, that pain that was living within from that mistake should no longer be there, really.
Yeah. If you've forgiven. Yeah.
If you've truly forgiven. Because
Right.
sometimes it's like, I forgive you, but I don't. I'll forgive, but I'll never forget. Have you heard that saying?
Yeah.
I've heard that saying.
Yeah. We've talked about that.
And that's a bunch of bullshit. I mean, once you forgive, if this relationship that you're in truly matters, you need to let go and release and heal and just let it go. That's the only way to move forward from a mistake. And whether it's cheating, whether it's lying, whether it is, so you just got to be able to let go.
If you have forgiven,
yes,
then that should be it.
Yep. yelling or screaming. If you are in a heated conversation and you're not able just to talk and discuss and, communicate with your partner without screaming or yelling, that's a sign of poor communication as well. Sarcasm. Most people don't think that sarcasm has an effect on their relationship when they're having a disagreement. But being sarcastic,
some people are really
put downs.
Some people are really good at being sarcastic to the point that they're assholes.
Exactly.
Like,
yes.
I mean, being sarcastic is funny. Sarcasm is funny. But when you're sarcastic all the fucking time, and I like to be sarcastic, and you've heard me be sarcastic about certain things, but how sarcastic have I been about issues that we've had?
Yes.
Not much.
No.
Not much at all.
Right.
Hardly ever. And if I am sarcastic about something, it's something that we've probably already completely gotten over, and it's not even a thing that affects us anymore.
But that's still
that doesn't
something.
bother us.
Right.
Right. But I'm talking about sarcasm during arguments.
Right.
Or when something's not resolved.
Right.
That's a problem.
So those are all signs of poor communication. So first step is to recognize that there is a lack of communication, poor communication, and knowing that, okay, this is something that has to be changed, and having that discussion with your partner saying, hey, I notice that every time we have a disagreement, there's screaming, there's cussing, there's yelling involved, and sometimes there's no talking. It's just a silent treatment. You walk away, you avoid communicating, and this is something that I want to resolve, because I know that in a healthy relationship, communication is the most effective. Communication is the most important characteristic in order for a relationship to work. So that's number one.
And something that I remember listening to was that, and it made a lot of sense. I don't know if it was, it must have been for relationships, but it was just thinking about taking a moment just to think about what it is that you're about to bring up.
So number two, you're getting into number two.
Okay.
Number two is giving yourself time to process your feelings.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes if you think about what you're bringing up, what I'm about to bring up to you that may start an argument or whatever, is this something that keeps on happening all the freaking time?
Right.
Is this a one-time thing that it's probably never going to happen again? Is it even worth saying anything about this? It doesn't, like, some things you have to address. Some things you should say something about. But there's certain things that it's not even worth bringing up.
And that is a man's perspective. But I think are you talking about like, okay, you left a sock on the floor kind of deal? Or you did something that you normally don't always do, but you did it. And it may not just be worth talking about it. Why don't we just pick this up? I got a perfect
example. You said on one of the last podcasts that there was one time I was out of town and you called and I was drunk and you didn't like it.
Yes.
That was the first time I had ever heard about that. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Oh, okay.
You never brought it up.
Yes, because it's not something that you do all the time.
Now, you bringing it up to me is probably not going to start a fight because we're at a certain point in our relationship or whatever. But you also know it's not like every time I call you, I'm just fucking hammered.
Right.
And I don't even remember
that.
Maybe because I was drunk, but.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just got to think about the situation. Is it even worth bringing up? Because it may, like, what is the outcome of this going to be? Is the outcome, like, if I bring this up, is it going to fix things or is it going to make things better? I mean, I don't do it all the time, right?
Right.
So how is it going to make it better?
Right. And I think you'll...
Now, if I called you again, hammered, then maybe you say a little something. Right. And if I call you again hammered, then maybe we got to talk about it. Do you know what I mean? But in this case, you didn't even say anything. It's not an issue. Right. It never became an issue.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So weighing out, I mean, that was not on our list. So
but what I'm saying,
weighing out the situation to see even if it's worth bringing up, like how important is it? How is it affecting you? And maybe it's affecting you because there's something in your past that maybe triggered this emotion. And maybe this is something that you have to work through on your own because it's something that's affecting you. Because it's not like it's a habit. It's something you do all the time.
Right.
So weighing out whether it's worth even bringing it up.
Which is like you were saying, taking a moment to kind of think about what's happening.
So number one, recognizing that you have poor communication. Number two, I have giving yourself time to process your feelings. This will help you to control your emotions and give you time to cool down. Like really thinking about, it's kind of just like what you were saying, during the heat of the moment, he maybe had said something that got you upset and now you are just ranting and raving. Before you even get there, it's like, what he said really hurts.
Yeah.
And I'm pissed off right now. It's not the time right now to really go back and forth because how I'm feeling, and I don't want to say something that I don't mean. So I'm going to voice this to my significant other and saying, hey, right now, I'm a bit upset. I'm a bit hurt by what you said. I need some time to process what I'm feeling. Right?
Yeah. I don't want to say something that I'll regret. So I want to chill for a little bit.
Right.
And we can talk about this later tonight, or we can talk about it tomorrow afternoon.
And I think that's so important, especially for women, because
Really? I was going to say that's super important, especially for guys. Because I'm saying when you don't
wait, what I'm saying is when we're having a disagreement,
yeah,
you're like pissed off and I'm like, I want to fix this now. I don't want to wait this. I was disrespecting, not knowing though, because you weren't voicing, telling me, I need time because I am pissed off right now and I don't want to say anything. So can you please just give me a moment? We could talk about this evening. That was not voiced back in the day when we didn't know how to communicate.
It's crazy because thinking back about it, that's not even a thought that crossed my mind at that time. I just knew that I didn't want to fucking talk right now.
Right. And that's how he voiced it. You said, leave me the fuck alone. You told me that.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't just like, hey, we need to talk. Leave me the fuck alone. It wasn't like that. It was like, we need to talk. And I'm like, not really saying much. We need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk. Then the leave me the fuck alone comes around.
Right.
But that I didn't even have back then that thought. Like I could have just said, you know what? I don't want to talk about this right now because I might say something that I'm going to regret. So let's talk about this later.
Right. Isn't that crazy? And for me, it wasn't a thought.
That sounds like such a mature thing to do.
I know, right? And back then, I wasn't thinking, about you either. I'm just like, excuse me, but I need to get some sleep tonight and I have shit to do and my feelings are hurt right now and I need this to be resolved right now.
And I'm like, I don't want to talk.
Right. And now we're like, well, this is what you want to do because we've done this over and over again. We've done it wrong over and over again. And we've gotten it so right. Like we have. Like our relationship is so good, but it's only so good because we didn't give up when it was so bad.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I say, having a relationship, it's work. And the thing of it is that you're either going to bring the good out in each other or you're going to bring the bad out. And if you keep bringing the bad out, you got to want to save this relationship to bring the good out in the other person. Yeah. And it took years of us going back and forth and not giving up, but looking for the answers. Right. And that's what the resource list that we share with you guys and mention to you guys is the resource list that got us through those difficult times to get us to where we are today.
Well, I mean, the resource list it's not going to change your life.
If you do the thing.
Just let me finish, please.
Okay. Sorry.
But what it might do is spark a question or make you think of something that you haven't thought of before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Maybe I should think about something else. I mean, if it does want that to one part of your life, then it's a success. You know what I mean? Right. And that's something that, now that we're talking about it, that I was talking to you about earlier. We'll get right back into the 5 ways for effective communication. But listening to different things. I know that I've listened to podcasts, videos, the stuff that's on the resource list that had made me think of songs like, holy shit, like I've never thought about it that way. Like, wow. Like, I don't know if you guys out there have ever had that listening to this podcast, because for us, we just come here and we talk every week, right?
Right.
And we're just kind of wondering if you guys would like to let us know a situation that that we've talked about on here that made you kind of like, I never thought about it that way. Or maybe you opened your mind to other options. Give us a call, 480-331-9846. One other thing real quick about you definitely, when you're talking about like, I need more time, or I don't want to talk about this right now, you do have to set a time, make a time.
Yes.
To resolve the situation. And It's not like next week. It has to be probably either that day or the next day.
Right.
Like you can't let it linger for that long.
Right.
You got to take some time, chill out, think about things, but you have to address it.
Yes.
Another thing is that when you're bringing up issues, you got to look at the time that you're going to bring these issues up. If you've been home, right? Mm-hmm. Just in this scenario, like let's say you've been home and you see something that I did, or you heard something that maybe you didn't like that you need to address with me.
Right.
And I'm at work and I'm coming home from work and I give you a call and let you know that I had a rough day or something happened, or we haven't talked. You have no idea how my day went at work.
Right.
And I walk through the door and you start letting me have it about whatever it is that you need to address with me.
Right. You were supposed to do the laundry yesterday. You
said you were going to do it. And you know what? Lately, you've been telling me shit and you're not doing it. If I had a rough day at work, walking through the door to that might set me off.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So you have to kind of look at the situation.
Right.
When you know that they're calm, when you know, like.
That's so good. I mean, because think about it. Sometimes you'll be at a family get together, right? And something comes up. Maybe you're at a wedding and something comes up. That is not the place to have a huge outbreak. It's just not. Like there's a time and a place. And if you have children, you guys, be aware, be present. Listen, kids, they're very sensitive when it comes to these types of situations. Keep your voice down. Keep your tone down. Make sure you're being respectful. You are leading by example, and you do not want your daughter to think that it's okay for a man to disrespect her, call her names, throw things at her, say things, right? Okay. And vice versa. It goes both ways. There's a time and a place.
Right.
And if your husband just gets home, like you were saying, from work,
Feel him
exhausted. He's exhausted. Let him know, hey, babe, listen, we need to, have a talk, but I know you just got out of work, and.
Or not, just feel him out. See, hey, how's your day? And then depending on that response, or you just got to be aware of the situation, like feel out the situation, see how they're feeling.
Right.
Check out their emotions. You can tell if they're not, if they're upset, if something's up. If you've been with your partner long enough, you know something's going on.
Have a glass of wine. So that's not the time. Have a glass of wine before they come home.
Hey,
Smoke a little. Do a little. Chug a little. Whatever.
Right, take it. Holy shit. Do a little? Do a little what? What the fuck? But hey, before we move on to the next step, I wanted to ask you, what do you think about having disagreements and arguments in front of kids?
I feel that if you're at our level, where we can have a discussion from love and respect, I think that it's healthy for them to see it so that they have something to go by.
Yeah. I think
right?
the same thing.
But if you're heated and you are not at a place where you guys can have a mature disagreement, then I don't think that it should be held in front of the kids.
It's crazy because it's like somehow, like we knew in the beginning, even still. Yeah. Like we didn't communicate well. We didn't do things the right way. But the kids weren't around for that shit.
Hey, do you want to know how we knew? Baby, think back.
Well, because of our childhood.
Yes. And
we had seen it. But
and they scared the crap out of me. So, I was so scared when I witnessed my mom, my dad, my mom, her boyfriends arguing, having heated discussions.
True. Yeah. So even at that time, they weren't around for it. But like you said, I've noticed that more recently, when we have certain disagreements or certain arguments, they'll happen right in front of the kids. But it's also like we're not arguing about something inappropriate or something that they shouldn't be able to listen to us argue about.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like you said, it gives them an example of how
a disagreement should handled. Go. Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up because that's really good. It's the same thing with money. When you're having a discussion on money, your future, savings, I think them seeing that, listening to that, witnessing that gives them a foundation for a healthy discussion, a healthy relationship when it comes to money, marriage,
or complicated
parenting,
issues.
All of it. It starts with us breaking family generational curses, or that's what I like to call it, or just things that how we were raised. We learned that it wasn't always the best way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So being able to lead by example and show the kids what a healthy disagreement looks like, and it doesn't matter what the topic is, I think is good.
Well, you gotta think about the topic. Certain topics, you obviously, depending on the kid's age, you don't want to have around them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
number 2 is giving yourself time to process your feelings, because it will help you, have more control over your emotions and give you time. Right? Will give you time to cool down and really to think about how you're feeling.
Right.
Now, number 3 is expressing how their actions made you feel, right? This is a very, for me, it's easy for me to say communicate from love and respect, but what does that mean? What does that look like? And when Miguel and I started putting this into action, actually, I started using it on Miguel first.
Yeah.
And because it was easier for me to connect to my feelings, right? I've always been that feely person, right? It's been, not always. I can't say that because at first it came from anger. But when I started to learn what really works, it's letting you know, like, how you made me feel. Like, hey, we had an agreement that we were going to do A, B, and C this weekend. And now you're coming and telling me that, you had a change of plans and you didn't even communicate with me. I just felt that kind of, you right?
Right.
It's coming from a place of love and being able to connect your emotions, your feelings, and being able to express it. And you know what that comes from?
What's that?
Vulnerability. In order for me to love you and to allow myself to fall in love with you, I had to let you in. I had to let you in to let you know what my insecurities were, right? Or let you into my life, just letting you in.
Yeah.
And being able to be vulnerable enough to say, hey, what you did really hurt.
Yeah. And another good thing to do when you're bringing these kind of things up, because one thing is that nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, right? So if whatever you're going to bring up is something that maybe you struggle with too, maybe not at the level that your partner struggles with it, because everybody's different. Maybe this is something that they have a hard time with, and you do it sometimes, but it's not as big of an issue. Pointing out your own faults when you're trying to do that kind of like disarms the situation. It because you're coming from almost like a humility.
Yep, you're relating.
Yeah, it's like, look, I know I struggle with this all the time. Like there's sometimes like there's so many things going on that I'll say that I'm going to do something and then I forget, or I run out of time, or whatever, you know?
Right.
And then you can bring up, and last time when you mentioned that you were going to do this and it didn't happen, I felt, it's the I statements. Yes. I felt this, but you're pointing out, yes, I know this is a human thing. I'm not perfect. Right. I struggle with it.
That's right.
But when you did that, when you did that, it made me feel this way.
Right. That is so good. Yes. And number 4 is shut up and listen.
That's a hard one.
Like, shut up and listen. You know that listening that takes so much practice. I am still practicing to shut up my thoughts. Like, shut up, Sonja. Shut up. Listen. Be present. Like, be present. Put your phone away. When we're having a disagreement or when we're talking and we're communicating, I have to put everything aside so that I am listening to you. You have my full attention. There's eye contact, right? Like, I am empathizing with what you're saying. I'm hearing like 100% what you're saying. And it is hard at times because there's so much going on. The kids are screaming. The dogs are barking. Work, right? You have work. You have even this. Still, you have that.
You're in an argument. You're having a disagreement.
Right.
So your mind is going.
And we are so focused on what we're going to say that we're not even listening to our spouse, the person that we love. Like, respect them enough to listen, to stop everything that you're doing and pay attention and really put yourself in their situation so that you can understand why they feel the way they feel.
Let me ask you something, because this is something that I know this has happened to me, and I'm sure for you guys out there listening, this has happened to you guys in your relationship too. But have you had this happen where we're having an argument and I'm saying something and you're already thinking to yourself, that's fucking wrong. And it's wrong because of this. And it's wrong because you don't even this and you don't do that. And while I'm talking, you're fucking loading your guns.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
But before you know it, you turn your attention back to me and you have no clue what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. Because I changed the subject and you weren't listening. You were busy loading your guns off of what I had said. Right. And now when you come back, you're like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Right. And
it's because you're not listening.
Exactly. And that happens all the time.
And
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
And that is something that I still continue to work on today.
Dude, that doesn't even have to be a fucking argument. It's just talking to your friends sometimes. Talking to people. Like, we're just so busy, caught up thinking about what we're thinking. Oh, so-and-so said this. Oh, yeah, that reminds me of this and this and that. And then you come back to the conversation. You're like, what the fuck?
You know what's helped me?
What?
This podcast. This podcast has helped me. And I still, at times, like, I'm trying to get my point across, and here you come in and you say something. I know. And I'm like, you guys know. Oh, what the fuck? Like, I totally forgot what I was going to say because of it. And I still have to listen to what you're saying and still keep track of my point.
And your thoughts.
This here is so challenging. But this podcast, I feel, has helped us with our communication because we are talking to each other. And even when we have disagreements, because we have had some very heated conversations on this podcast, we have been able to talk about it. Even after we get off the podcast, if it wasn't resolved during the podcast, we're still talking about it after. And we are not perfect, okay? There are times where we still go back to the old way where we communicate, but we catch ourselves. We are on it, right?
The silent treatment doesn't last very long.
No, we don't. I don't even think that's.
Well,
I don't even think that's a problem again today. I don't think we've been through that.
I don't think it's a silent treatment because you understand now that I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
And I also know that we need to talk about it.
Right. Right.
So it's not like it's going to be the silent treatment for days.
Right.
I just don't want to talk right now. We'll talk about it later. And we don't even have to say it because we know.
Yeah. But two, you guys, it's communicating your feelings. You know, men, it's not you looking weak when you're expressing how your love of your life or, you know, your partner made you feel. And I think that too in society has made men to look weak when it comes to expressing their feelings. And I think that is such a huge strength. I mean, that is what has helped save our relationship by me being vulnerable enough to open up to you and allowing you inside.
It's crazy because it is a sign of strength.
Yes.
When you can actually just put it out there, that is a sign of strength, that you're secure enough in yourself that you can just say how you're feeling. You don't have to hold it back. Right. You don't care what other people are going to think of you, like, oh, he's soft or whatever. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And number 5, coming to a resolution, right? I think this here, when you're able to walk away from a discussion, feeling heard,
yeah,
feeling understood, and it being resolved, completes, right? Like you just feel uplifted. You feel, I mean, just being able to sometimes agree to disagree,
right.
And know that, you know what, a relationship is all about give and take, right? It's about compromising. You're not always going to win. And do you really always want to win? Because that means that your partner is losing while you're winning, right? That's something that that you have said, and I never really thought about. And it's like, is it really worth it? Is it really worth being right all the time?
Well, and that's the thing is that I can't remember where I heard it. It's mine now because I literally looked it up before this podcast. I was trying to find exactly where I found it. I have no idea. So it's me now. But I remember hearing one time, and it was that's exactly why I brought that up earlier in the podcast. You know, like, have you ever heard something that we've said that maybe made you think of something? But this is one of those things. Like, I remember hearing one time or reading or somebody said that, first of all, it is impossible for you to be 100% right all the time. There is no way that in every single argument that you have with your spouse or your partner that you're right every single time.
Right.
It's not I have to be wrong sometimes.
Right.
Right? But if you were right all the time, that means that your partner loses the argument every single time.
Right.
So to you, it's like a competition. And I'm right, you're wrong. And if they're wrong all the time and they lose every argument, then they're a loser.
Right.
Are you married to a loser? Because when I think about it and I look at you, I'm like, you're my wife. I love you. You're not a loser. And there's no way that I'm 100% right all the time.
Right.
You know? Mm-hmm. So you also have to think about, what are we arguing about? Is it worth it for me to be like, sometimes, you know, like, I still don't get it, but it's okay. It's fine. Okay.
And I think I can tell you guys.
And we both do it. It's not just like me. I'm always caving in like, all right, fuck it then. And that's not the right response either.
No,
fuck it then. That's not like, okay, we'll do it your way. That's resentment.
Right. Right. And so sometimes to resolve a situation again, right? It's compromising. It's listening. It's knowing that this is the person that you married, or this is the person that you've been with, you know, for a very long time. And you want this to be resolved. being able to communicate and express your emotions and your feelings, and being able to agree to disagree and just really come to a resolution of that disagreement will help you guys strengthen your relationship, grow your relationship, and stay together for years to come. And I'm thinking of a situation where you went, oh, great
about to
one.
Put us on blast?
Great one. Great one. So I am very spiritual. I believe in God. I believe in a higher energy. I believe that we are all one, that we are all connected. Miguel is an atheist. You guys don't understand. Maybe you do. If you watched our past podcast, we have had some very, very
serious
heated
discussions. Yeah.
conversations. I mean, there was a point in time where I didn't know if our relationship was going to last because of how strong you were in your beliefs and where I was in mine.
And in that situation, that is not something where I'm going to say, or you're going to say, like, okay, fine. That's a situation where we have to just agree to disagree and move on.
That's right. And Miguel supports me in my beliefs. When we say grace, we hold hands. He goes with me to church every once in a while. It's just that love, knowing that the love that you have is more important than being right.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling you guys that these 5 steps, once you get them down, once you put them into practice, it just becomes natural.
Yeah.
Right? Like it just becomes natural. And
it still takes work though. Like we still make mistakes.
Yes.
I still give you the silent treatment. You still will say sometimes some things
it.
and but like it just doesn't last. It just doesn't happen as much.
Right.
But one other thing before we move on from coming to a resolution is when you do find out or when you do notice that you're wrong, apologize.
Yes.
Apologize for it. And that's something that's hard. It's hard in the beginning. It's not hard for us anymore. But it seems like in the beginning, it's our pride. It's the lack of humility. It's all that stuff that you just, I don't know, you got to grow through it. But saying that you're sorry.
Yes.
Like, oh, fuck, this whole argument, I probably could have avoided it. Or this whole argument is because of something that I did, something that I said. I was wrong. Right. You were right. And when you find that time,
right,
like we said, nobody is 100% right all the time. When you find out that you are 100% wrong, apologize.
Right.
I'm sorry for
and even
this and this and that.
I mean, there's times this.
Sometimes you apologize when you're right.
Right. Yes. And it's just like, is it really worth it?
Exactly.
Like, I love you. And this here is going to pass.
So, sometimes it's like, okay, obviously this means a lot to you. And I don't give that much of a shit about this. So I'm sorry.
That's an example of how not to apologize.
But for sometimes there are certain things that are more important to one person than the other. So it's like, you know what? I'm sorry for it's. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
But if you're going to apologize, that's the end of it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And so
go ahead.
During our, is there anything that you would like to add to that?
Nope.
So let's go over really quick. All right. Your 5 steps.
For effective communication.
That's right. Number 1 is, first of all, recognizing that you have poor communication. Okay. Yep. Number 2 is giving yourself time to process your feelings, your emotions. Number 3 is expressing how their actions made you feel. This is where the communication comes into play, where you speak about the situation from love and respect.
Number 4 is shut up and listen.
And number 5, coming to a resolution.
There you go.
Yes.
So yeah, I think these are. It took us a while.
Right.
It took us a long time to figure some of this shit out.
And 5 steps. And hey,
and a lot of arguments.
And if you feel that there is a step, say you got this down, you've been married for quite some time and you guys are, on the right path, the right journey. And you're like, hey, wait a minute. These are all great, but there's a 6th step. There's a 7th step. Again, we would love to hear from you.
Yep.
Call us, leave us a message
at 480-331-9846. And like we
Yes.
said, you guys can be anonymous. We can play it on the show. We can discuss it. We can talk about it.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with us.
Yes.
And
Wait,
go ahead.
before we say our goodbyes, Miguel and I have been discussing like just certain challenging behaviors that affect a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And last week, I think it was the spouse that did
The
not know how to
uncommunicative spouse,
communicate. And so next episode, we are going to talk about the workaholic spouse because that's something that I can relate to. And
and
it was causing a division, a separation in our relationship. So we're going to go over that the next episode in 186. So thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support.
Make sure you guys go to oppositestrackpodcast.com to support us.
And thank you for watching Opposites Attract Podcast.
Where we get better
Together.
Bye.
Bye.